Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of SportsCasters podcast. I'm Emma Houghton, your host, and we are joined today by our founder, Chris Lyles, and our two analysts, Sterling Harris and Matthew Anderson. Guys, thanks for joining us again today. How you all doing?
Doing great.
Super excited to start this 4th episode. Once again, we are brought to you today by Rel's Revenge and our new sponsor, Slim Dev Music. And let's get right into the action here. Big week, MLB returning, NBA restart begins tonight. But let's start with potentially the biggest storyline of the MLB season without COVID, the Astros sign-stealing scandal and how the repercussions of that were going to be seen throughout the MLB season. And we saw a glimpse of that last night. Dodgers pitcher Joe Kelly does not hit any players but throws 96 miles per hour over the head of Alex Bregman, and then another near miss with Astros hitter Carlos Correa. Joe Kelly gets suspended 8 games. And Sterling, I'll start with you. What were your initial reactions with the whole antics of all of it with Kelly and the Astros, between the Dodgers and the Astros? Dodgers obviously being in the way of the Astros and the whole sign-stealing scandal back in 2017.
Initial reaction, I'm happy nobody got hurt, but thinking at a broader perspective, I think you could definitely see the Dodgers' frustration come out full force in what Joe Kelly did regarding that. They were the team that was the first to kind of get bit by the Astros cheating scandal in that World Series, and how it was literally a night and day difference whenever they played in LA and when they played in Houston, and ultimately playing in Houston was what decided the series. So Joe Kelly getting 8 games, it's just another, and along with that, it's another sign of the MLB trying to protect the Astros in this sense, because we all know that the penalties the Astros were given were not strict enough in terms of that cheating scandal and how blatant they cheated in those World Series, and that they should have been punished harder. So seeing him get 8 games, he didn't hit anybody. He could say it was an errant pitch. At the end of the day, nobody got hurt, which is the best thing, but you can still see that MLB, if they don't punish the Astros, the other teams will.
Yeah, and that's perfect segue into my next question for Chris. Was this warranted? Did we expect this from some pitcher at some time, and it just so happened to be Joe Kelly 2 nights ago?
Man, hold on. Pause. Sterling, did you just say that other teams are going to punish them? That is some mafia mess, dude. But, I mean, I feel like, at the end of the day, what they did was what they did back then, and that should be up to the Major League Baseball to handle that, not the LA Dodgers. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, what can they do to give them the punishment that they deserve? It's not no 96 miles per hour ball to the head. I mean, that's, in my personal opinion, that's pretty childish. And then to answer your question, Emma, is it warranted? No, I think he should actually be punished a lot more, because it's different when you're throwing at somebody's head. That's a little different. That's like it's like throwing a bullet at somebody's head. Like, that's how, I mean, of course a gun is faster, but think of the magnitude. Like, if that actually connected, we can't say that he would still be on his 2 feet. So I feel like, 8 games is a little bit on the, kind of, okay, here's a slap on the wrist side. But at the end of the day, at least he got something. But at the same time, I do feel like he should have gotten more.
Yeah, and I mean, this whole conversation would be wildly different if Kelly did end up hitting Bregman or Correa. That's what it comes down to. But Matt, I'll give you the last word here. Chris and Sterling are kind of split. Where do you land on whether it was warranted or not, and what you think of the punishment?
Definitely don't think, I think Chris said, don't really pitcher to address the situation, to take matters into his own hands, because like you said, if that ball would have hit him, we'd have had a serious issue. I think a lot of people's problem is also there's an 8-game suspension, pretty sure it's 8 games, and the fact that this is a shortened season, so that's really taking up a lot of time. I think also the thing that Joe Kelly, because Joe Kelly has a little bit of history of he doesn't mind getting into it with players. If y'all remember the fight he had with the Yankees, and he was kind of like, bring it on when the guy was about to charge up there to the mound. But also
the like kind of taunting thing. I think that's what really got them. Like maybe it was the commissioner ever, because he kind of looks at the guys like, wait. It's like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And so whenever you do that, it's like, yeah, it's tough for his budget because it's 8 games. But the MLB did have to send a message, just y'all are not to make matters into your own hand. Let us handle it, and we'll do so and whatever.
Exactly. And what I forgot to mention at the beginning, I think another reason why the commissioner's taken this into his own hands is because in this current situation, they can't have fights with people not wearing masks. They can't have congregations on the field. So the MLB is saying there is no more of this. Whether it has to do with the Astros or not, they're not going to tolerate any sort of fighting congregation. I personally have been surprised by how many people have been behind Kelly and supporting him with the hashtag Free Joe Kelly. But we'll see if there's any more after effect with them playing in the future, and if any other teams who have been hurt by the Astros in the past will get in on it. So let's move on to football. Relatively slow NFL offseason, but we had definitely had a offseason breaking, shattering deal last week. Jets star defensive player, the core of their young team, Jamal Adams, gets traded to the Seahawks for a bunch of draft picks and a starting safety. Chris, I'll start with you. What were some of your initial thoughts? Sterling, we'll start with you. Initial thoughts, and who is the winner coming out of this trade?
Initial thoughts, my Seahawks, the Super Bowl pick just got way better. Also, both teams won. This is a great deal for both teams, in my opinion. If you're thinking about Seattle here, they're a team that was an Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams throw from being in the conference championship. There was probably all 3 of their running backs getting hurt from being the 1 seed in the NFC last year. And they're also a team that's in win-now mode. So what do you do when you're in win-now mode and you're a team that drafts better late in the draft anyway? You go ahead and give away 2 picks in a draft where there's questions because of, COVID possibly coming up in the college football season. Give away those 2 first-round picks, get the best player in the deal, and go about your way. If you're talking about the Jets' perspective, they're saying, look, Jamal doesn't want to be here, so we get a haul of draft picks and we get a starting safety that go along with him to pair with Marcus May, the defense that they're building there. And it just makes sense for both teams. I think it's a great deal for both teams, depending, based off their situations going into this next season.
Yeah, great points. And I like the win now mentality that you said for the Seahawks. Matt, how much do you think, does this put more pressure on the Seahawks to capitalize on this upcoming season?
Oh, 100%. No, now you have your pieces. Like, now I expect the NFC Championship game, if not Super Bowl, like, no questions asked, you bring Jamal Adams in there. But I kind of want to talk about Jamal for a second. I kind of feel a little indifferent about this. I like the trade, but I was kind of like, Seahawks, they didn't necessarily need to give up that. I didn't think they need to give up. I think they ended up giving up 2 first-round picks, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't feel like they need to do that simply because he could not go back into the locker room, which brings me to this point about this man, Jamal Adams. Jamal knew that he potentially was about to have to go sit in the locker room with the New York Jets head coach, and he goes on to say that he doesn't feel like this is the leader to lead them to the promised land. Like, this man does not care what it said, but he did later on come out and say that he was on a mission to get up out of there. And I don't know if y'all saw the clip whenever I think he was in Texas and the Cowboys fan like drive by and was like, hey, we want you. He's like, I'm there. Like, bro, you're under contract. But this is like the new age of athlete. It's like, I'm going to get out of here by any means necessary. So whatever I have to put in the press, whatever it takes, I'm going to get about it if I don't want to be there. But I guess that's kind of the Jets' fault because you don't tell the guy that you're going to try to get the deal done and don't even at least like make an attempt. So I can see how it could kind of be their fault.
Chris, how much of a bad look is this for the Jets? It doesn't seem like anybody is happy on the Jets.
I think for them, it really does bring down their winning percentage because you just lost literally your best defensive player. It's not the top safety in the league. So for them to go out and win games now is plummeting. But as far as morale standpoint, it shifts the way that players think of each other. Because, this was somebody who, was trying to get guys to come to the Jazz, play for me, this and that. Yeah. And so when he goes out and he does, what he did, it kind of brings the question of, okay, so who else is doing this? Who else has this mindset of, okay, we're going to recruit you, But at the end of the day, I still got to do what I want to do, and I'm going to go play for somebody else. So I think from a morale standpoint, it brings down the camaraderie for teammates. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hey, can I interrupt really quickly? I just want to feel like ever since the Mark Sanchez Jets, the Jets fans have consistently been in rebuild, we're going on top, and finally they get a guy, and then he's out there, so we're back to rebuilding. So we're going to rebuild forever.
Can I come in here?
Go ahead.
The Jets lost Jamal Adams the minute they made Adam Gase their head coach. Okay, Mr. I can't win anything in Miami himself. That the minute they did that, Jamal Adams was out of there. Okay, you got Greg Williams in DC. You can go get Eric Bieniemy to become your head coach. You can get all these top offensive guys that are actually doing well across the board in the league, and you go and pick a dude that's in your division that didn't do much and within your division. What are you trying to accomplish here? I think the first thing that the Jets got to do, they want to do anything, is get rid of Adam Gase. Then you can start looking for a rebuild.
Yeah, and I think Chris brought up a good point that I want to make this a short question here. Is there a trend of athletes feeling more power and feeling like they can control where they want to end up?
100%.
I feel like it all started. I hate to say it, and Sterling may disagree with me. It all started with LeBron. LeBron is one of the first players to ever literally dictate where he wants to be as far as a team and what he wants around him. So I feel like because other players in other leagues, given contract and how they do about it, they literally have a say-so in, okay, I want this quarterback. I want this wide receiver. You just saw recently, according to Bleacher Report, that Lamar Jackson basically said, I want Antonio Brown to come play for me. Granted, is Antonio Brown going to play for the Ravens? Probably not. But again, that's just the type of power that, different players, different high-level players have to dictate where they want players to be and where they want to be surrounded by.
Yeah. Are we good? Or I can get in this?
Go ahead, get in this.
Yeah, no doubt LeBron started all this. Okay. But granted, LeBron had good reason to start this. I mean, if you look at his situation in Cleveland, I know it's just a little off, but his situation in Cleveland was the team that I'm supposed to be loyal to is not helping me achieve my goals. I need to go somewhere else that's going to help me achieve those things. So do I think it's a bad thing? No. Do I think sometimes players need to chill? Yes, but I think if you're on a level like Jamal Adams and you're a top 3 safety in the league, you know where your franchise is going from being in that building for 3 years basically now. If you can see there's no hope, they brought in this bad coach here that is dysfunctional up top with your owner now, it's time to get up out of there. There's no point in staying there. There's no reason for you to waste your career there unless they're going to give you top dollar money, which they was not going to do. So you take care of yourself, you go, reset.
Yeah, I agree. And I definitely agree that there's a trend of players being able to make their own decisions here. And it's financial standpoints too, with players holding out before they get the money that they believe they deserve. I do wonder if it brings us closer to the super team aspects. And if somewhere in the future, we're just going to be over and over, these players want to play for this team, that's it. But Chris brought up LeBron. He knew that's where we were going. He shadowed it there. So we are bringing back part 2 of the MJ versus LeBron debate. Super fiery last week. And Chris, I'll let you start. Who is the GOAT all-time in basketball? Bring us the new stats that you got to make us believe your argument.
I don't have stats. After rewatching Last Dance and going back and, looking at some of the old tapes of, your guys' GOAT, Michael Jordan, I'm still going with LeBron. I really don't see what it is that made y'all so, oh my God. Like, all I see was somebody who could score at will, LeBron. I could see someone who can take over a game. LeBron can do that. I can see someone who defied gravity, LeBron. So the only thing that I did not see that differs, as far as play style, is their level of getting everyone involved. I didn't see that in Jordan. I saw Okay, you're not in your spot. Okay, give me the ball. Okay, you're not doing what I told you to do. Okay, give me the ball. Okay, you're not doing the right play. Give me the ball. LeBron is here. You get in this spot, shoot this three. You get this rebound, and then we go from there. LeBron is a very facilitating mindset of a player. Jordan's not. And I'm not taking that away from Jordan. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, it got him 6 chips. Whoop-de-doo. But my thing is, as far as somebody that I look at that can do all those things and also facilitate on the floor, got to go with LeBron. I mean, you could call it, he got the 6 chips, this and that. But if we're going off chips, let's bring my man Bill Russell into it, if we want to be honest.
He had 11,
but
right?
If we're going off of the way that someone plays, if we're going off of all around just a good, great, phenomenal basketball player, yeah, I'm going with LeBron. Sterling, go ahead.
Okay. One, the Bill Russell stuff is dead because we're talking about the modern NBA, and we're going to talk about.
Wait a minute. You messed up right there. Modern day, there's a GOAT. So it's not modern day. It's just the GOAT in basketball. So we going off of chips. We need to go ahead and give Bill Russell his props. And if we're going off of who's, Wilt Chamberlain, this and that. Well, first of all, Wilt ain't played against nobody. So, RIP Wilt, no disrespect. But however, Wilt ain't played against nobody. Bill is the only player that played against somebody and was able to get 11 rings. Continue.
I mean, I thought Bill and Wilt played in the same era. They were just the only people dunking on the court. But back to what I was saying about the modern basketball play. Who brought us into this modern era of basketball? Who brought us Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, these type of guys? That would be Michael Jordan. By the way, you talked about a lot of stuff that LeBron does from the outside. So I'm going to give you what you didn't talk about is what happens on the inside and the mental. We're talking about Michael Jordan, who literally would find the smallest pieces of stuff just to tick him off so he can go off on you. Okay, that type of mindset combined with the athletic ability he had, the scoring ability, the defensive prowess he had, because he was that guy that would go and find the best player and lock him down for 48 minutes a night if he could. That type of mindset carries on into a different generation. We've seen Michael develop. When he first started, he was a high flyer, just highlight reel, and he scored a lot of points. Then we saw as he progressed, he became a better jump shooter. He became a better facilitator of the basketball. He became a better teammate. And in that type of evolution, I can't say he can actually shoot free throws, by the way. I can't sit here and say, this guy LeBron James, who for some reason when he got 50 points in the finals game and has Steph Curry guarding him and decides to throw it to George Hill, is a greater basketball player than Michael Jordan, who said, if I got that guy on me, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to make him pay for it. And I feel like that type of psychological prowess and mental toughness is what it takes to become elite and the greatest at your sport. You can't just have all the tools and not use them when you have to use them. LeBron has all the tools in the world and refuses to use it. Christmas Day game versus the Clippers. You got Patrick, 6'1", Fallon Beverly on you, and you take a step back three-pointer. Just drop to the rack unless you're too scared to shoot a free throw, which he is prone to be. So if I'm looking at it, and I know that's Michael Jordan guarding Patrick Beverly, Michael Jordan not going to care. Michael Jordan said, you're going to have to stop me from flying in the air. If you do stop me, I'm getting 2 free throws and we're going home with this. That's what makes you great.
Matt, go ahead.
Oh, no. This is between these two. I will say, I was thinking about this as y'all were talking. With Phil Jackson, never would have kind of sat Jordan down and be like, hey, you got to learn how to pass this ball. I wonder how Jordan's different. Because I know, obviously, coaching aspect of the game or whatnot. But, like, if Jordan have eventually learned that throughout his career, would he have kind of stayed kind of headstrong and just maintained? Probably not got as many championships as he did. But, no, this is definitely their two debate. I don't even want to hop up in this one. I just let them at it and have
a good time. The question, I do believe Jordan, the type of mindset he carried was, I would do anything and everything it takes to win. So if Jordan hits a roadblock and he's like, I'm scoring too much, I believe he would have mentally checked himself and said, look, dude, I got to learn how to play with other guys. I learned to facilitate the basketball. That was his mentality. And we've seen that we could I can assume that based off of how his game progressed as he grew older. He became a better jump shooter of the basketball. He became better footwork-wise, learning how to make the guys around him better. Even when we talk about The Last Dance and people say, well, Jordan got, had whatever. We saw within The Last Dance, he made an adjustment in terms when Scottie Pippen was not playing, it was playing with Dennis Rodman, and it was actually getting on the roll before Scottie decided to come back to the team. So we've seen that within a season where Jordan learns how to adjust and make everybody around him better because, apparently he just doesn't make anybody better to people. So
I got to pause you on that one. I got to pause you on a few points you done said. So going back to your psychological and this, that, and the third, that's great. That's phenomenal. However, Steve Smith had that same mentality, and you see what happened. So, I don't want to hear nothing about, it takes mental, this and that. That's fine. But when I see guys who are equipped with the same thing who are not winning, no, it's not really about mental. It's just the right situation that you're in. And I think Jordan was just put in a very God-given situation. You got Phil Jackson, arguably, if not the best coach to ever step on the hardwood. And then you got Scottie Pippen, and you got Dennis Rodman, who were with you for a majority of your career to give you 6 chips. Even Michael Jordan even said in The Last Dance, what you get from me is what you get from Scottie. So I wouldn't be winning without Scottie or Dennis. So I've never heard LeBron say that. I never heard LeBron say he would win without Kyrie or he would win without D-Wade. I feel like LeBron can go out and do what he needs to, but at the end of the day, from people looking at it on the outside end, yes, you need those pieces. Because at the end of the day, when you look at the NBA now, it's stacked like that. There is not one team who has one superstar who can win it all. Not in today's game at all. So as far as, going to your next point, when you were saying, he made teammates better, this and that, how much of that do you think it was just out of plain fear to be better? And teammates actually said in The Last Dance that he was scared of them. I've never heard teammates now say, oh, we're scared of LeBron. LeBron is twice his size, a little bit bigger. So I don't see why players, and it's just all about, because we had this talk before just about the mentality and the personality. That's the main thing, the personality that you have to the game. At the end of the day, when I look at somebody that I want to play with, I don't want to play with Jordan. No disrespect to him. I don't want to play with him. Only because my thing is there's a difference between wanting to win for yourself and there's a difference between wanting to win for the team. I think that was Max. When I watched last night, that was Max behind, I really want to win for me. But I'm going to say the team, though. I'm going to say the organization because, I put on their jersey, so I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. But let's be honest. Do you really want to win for yourself or do you want to win for your actual organization? The team who is giving you the checks, the team who was putting the jersey on your back. So, I feel like, going back to your whole psychological thing, let's be honest. We could say that's a little bit psycho. That's a little bit, I felt like he should have gotten help. When you challenging people who can brush their teeth fastest, that's a little bit crazy. So
here's the thing.
But again, go ahead.
You're never hearing any person, Ty Burrell, Steve Kerr, all these guys that Jordan bullied when he was playing with them. You will never hear them say that they wish they didn't win those chips.
Not once.
Oh, that's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying at the end of the day, they were just in a great situation. You take Phil Jackson off that team. You take Scottie off that team. You take Dennis off that team. And you put Michael Jordan when he first got into the league. And you did that for 13 years, 11 years he's been in the league. There's no way that man gets 6 chips. Come on.
Neither LeBron did his first year in the league.
Here's the thing, though. But Jordan got the 6 chips. One, he still had to go out there, perform, drop 30, put up a double nickel on people, go out there, put 6 threes up in the first half. He's had to do that on the basketball court. And back to did he win for myself or the organization? You think LeBron James went back to Cleveland to win for Dan Gilbert? Do you really believe that?
Hold on. Did he not end the 53-year drought? He did it. What did he say when he won it for Cleveland? Cleveland.
Do you think he went back?
He would have won it anywhere else, too.
Gilbert You think he went back to win for Dan Gilbert in the Cleveland Cavaliers organization? No.
But that's the thing, though. He didn't win. He didn't win for Dan Gilbert. He don't like Dan Gilbert. He clearly said, "I'm doing this for Cleveland, for the city of Cleveland." Ain't no way in the world Michael Jordan was winning for the city of Chicago. No, Michael Jordan was winning to fill that little hole he got in him. I don't know what it is he got. I mean, it's like a twitch almost when he's losing. It's like, I don't like losing. I mean, granted, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it just, when it gets too much, that's when, guys who are looking for a different type of a leader, that's when they see the distinguish between the two. You look at LeBron and you look at Michael, just two different leaders. So my thing is, there's nothing wrong with it. I just think, for me personally, in my personal opinion, I'm not stating facts. In my personal opinion, I would not play for somebody like that. Just hands down. I mean, because I look at it as, when I go to practice, do I want to get yelled at the whole time? Yeah, I got 6 chips. But do I want to get yelled at the whole time in the process? You always hear people say it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So if Steve Kerr could have been on LeBron's team, or if he was playing now and played with LeBron in just a different fashion, you can't tell me Steve Kerr would have redid and just showed LeBron all the way, just because of, at that time, that's just all he had to win. So, of course, going back to your point, Emma, of course they're not going to say, we going to take back the 6 chips because it was with Michael. Oh, it was just in the situation they were in. So they're going to take what's given. But at the end of the day, if they had to go back and choose who they wanted to play for, hands down, I think it would be LeBron.
I would say the only pushback would be maybe Jordan was able to push them to a place that they would not have gone with a nicer leader. Like, sometimes fear is the best motivator to push you into something. It's like, God, like I know he about to – on the document is the person on the plane attendant, whatever, he told him don't feed him. So it's like you might not eat if you don't get these buckets. So you might just mess around and go get these buckets. So maybe that pushes something out of you that nothing other fear would get out of you.
Man, when I heard that, I was like, yo, you telling me not to eat and I'm a grown
That's
man?
a grown man.
Serious?
That type of leader just doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist.
It doesn't. And I don't honestly.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That type of leader doesn't exist anymore, and I honestly can't even think of someone in the NBA right now who it's a tyrant. He was a tyrant. But when it comes down to it, I'm fine taking the rings because there were 6 of them.
Well, you have to ask yourself, was Bill Russell like that when he got his 11? I don't think so. I don't think Bill was like that. I think Bill was just in a time period where he just had – he was just bigger than everybody, but was Bill a tyrant? I don't think so. There'll probably be a documentary later on about Bill and his 11
years. The 60s were a different time. The 60s were a different time.
That's true. That is very true. But it also goes to show when they showed Last Dance and how they played, you can't tell me that the fighting and the tussling back then was twice as bad, just hands down. Just because now, because it happened to Michael, and because Michael was everyone's favorite at the time, that's when they said something. So if Michael wasn't playing, you can't tell me that a lot of what has happened as far as the tussling and the fighting wouldn't have carried on into today's game. I think probably when Kobe came about, they would probably shut it out, probably. But as far as in the 60s, I feel like the play style was a little bit worse. So for him to get 11 chips, look, props to him. Because he probably got punched in the face in the process of getting them. So. Oh,
yeah. All right. Well, we're going to leave it there. We may just as well need a part 3. So to be determined on that. But let's move into our last topic of week 4. We finally have some game action NBA to talk about. The restart begins in about 25 minutes from now. 22 teams in the NBA bubble down in Orlando, 13 in the West, 9 in the East. If the 9 seed is if the 9 seed is within 4 games of the 8 seed, that's when some mixing up could go. But Matt, I want to start with you. give me your favorite in the bubble and your biggest sleeper pick for that 8 seed in the West.
All right, so favorite team, I'm going with I feel like the Lakers are coming out the West, but I like the Clippers a lot. Although Lou Williams did that mess, I understand going to get the wings. They did look very good. They did look appetizing, but he really could have put some people in jeopardy right there. I did not appreciate that, but and I saw him kind of going at Kendrick Perkins because you saw Perkins was going at people too. But all that to say, I want to see the Clippers win it, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers come out of the West, and obviously Milwaukee coming out of the East. Now that 8th seed, I think is going to come down to you got the Trailblazers, the Pelicans, and Memphis. I like Memphis as a team, but I feel like I like Memphis as how did I say this? Memphis as a team. I like the individual talent on the Pelicans and the Trailblazers, but I feel like I want to go with the Trailblazers coming out with that 8th seed. So that's my pick. It's tough for me between the Trailblazers and I don't think the Pelicans going to do it. It's tough for me between the Trailblazers and Memphis, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Trailblazers just because they have a lot more playoff experience.
Chris, I want to focus on the Pelicans a little bit. How much is riding on Zion here? He had to leave the bubble because of a undisclosed family emergency. He came back in just days ago. He may or may not start tonight. Pelicans have the easiest schedule in the bubble. They're fighting for that 8 seed. What do you think it's going to come down to for them?
I feel like I don't trust the Pelicans. And I say that not in a bad way, but I just truly I don't see them, getting in that spot. I don't see them beating out, Memphis, who is let's be honest, they're a more veteran style team, and they got some guys who know how to win. The Pelicans are just a bunch of young guys who are, don't get me wrong, are great basketball players, but when it comes down to playoff time, none of them have that. They don't have that on their resume. So for the guys in Memphis, it's a little bit different. So for them riding on Zion, man, that 19 games is not enough for me. It's not enough to cope with the playoff side. So 19 games, he dropped 23 points per game, so something like that. Granted, it's going to be something to see. I'll say that at least, but I just don't see them getting that 8 seed.
It's definitely going to be something to see, and that for the exact reason why you just said. That is why Ja Morant should be the runaway rookie of the year. But Sterling, going to you. Let's talk about the East a little bit. I feel like a lot of the debate and the picks and the favorites are coming out of the West. What do you see from the East, and who do you see besides the Bucks as maybe a team that's being slept on right now?
No bias involved, but my Miami Heat is the most slept on team in the Eastern Conference, and I can't understand why. I can't understand why. When you talk about my Heat team, okay, we played the Bucks twice. I feel we match up. Just not even about the Bucks, just any team in the Eastern Conference. I feel like we match up with any team in the Eastern Conference as best as you possibly can. Do we have shooters? Yes. Do we have versatile, multiple defenders? Yes. Do we have playmakers all over the floor? Yes. Do we have a dude that can get his own shot? And Jimmy Butler? Yes. Do we have a rim runner and just defensive pest and Bam Adebayo that can match up from 1 to 5? Yes. Do we have everything you need to play against the Bucks, the 76ers, the Raptors, the Boston Celtics? I think we're deeper than the Boston Celtics, honestly. People forget we picked up Jay Crowder and Andre Iguodala right before this whole thing hit. Andre Iguodala is a Finals MVP. He's also partly a reason why Golden State beat the Rockets that time when Harden and them and Chris Paul, they had the 1 seed in the West. He's that big of a deal from the Warriors team, and you got that veteran championship leader on our team now to go with guys that are very young or a veteran like Jimmy Butler that hasn't been there before. He can guide them and put them in the right direction. So I feel like the Miami Heat is really the most slept-on team in the Eastern Conference, along with how Boston, Kemba Walker's hurt, with Toronto. We love Nick Nurse and what they do, and Pascal Siakam has really emerged as one of their top guys, but I still got to see it without Kawhi. Milwaukee, for me, Giannis is great, but I don't trust Eric Bledsoe in the playoffs. I don't trust Brook Lopez in the playoffs. I don't know who else on their team is going to step up outside of Giannis. If he gets 30, who's going to get you the other 60, 70 points you're going to need that game. I don't know. And then with the Philadelphia 76ers, they have all the talent in the world, but they're just dysfunctional. Like I can't trust Philly. And Indiana, they don't have no star power for me. So I think the most slept on team is really the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference.
Did you
yeah, go ahead, Matt.
I was about to say, did you see Ben shoot that jumper? And also, who do you think comes both of y'all? Who do y'all think comes out of the eighth seed of the West though?
I guess Chris already went. So for me, we got to stop sleeping on the San Antonio Spurs because when I look at these schedules, the Spurs actually might have the second easiest schedule to that ninth place, to where they could play against either Memphis or a team like that. I believe Memphis is going to be in the mix because they're still 3.5 games ahead, and I can't see Memphis losing over 4 games that badly to where a team can catch up that rapidly and get into their spot. So I think I think really the teams to look out for are the Spurs and the Pelicans, because I love Portland, but their schedule is pretty rigid. Like they have to play Memphis. They might beat them, they might not, but then they have to play Boston, Houston, Denver, the Clippers, the 76ers, and then they got Dallas and Brooklyn on the back end. So they have a gauntlet type restart schedule themselves. So can they do enough as opposed to the Spurs who have to play? I think they play Utah twice. They play the Pelicans and the Kings, I think, once. The Pelicans got the Kings twice, I believe. Just look at the schedule. I believe it's going to be either the Spurs or the Pelicans that get that nice sweep that gets to go against the Grizzlies in those last two. And I think the Grizzlies pull it out. I think Ja going to pull it out. I think they got something to prove. I think they're a little ticked off that they've had to be in a situation regarding what they did in the regular season. And I don't see them going away so easily. I don't see them just relinquishing their A spot. They earned it. I think they're going to keep it.
Yeah, Ja's definitely got a chip. Talking about the little thing in Jordan that we were talking about earlier. I personally, though, I think Dame, C.J. McCollum, Nurkic. I watched the scrimmage the other night of them, and they looked lethal. And Chris, just to touch on you, who you got as a favorite for the championship?
I'm kind of going with kind of the same as Matt, a little bit on the opposite side. I like the Clippers and I like the Lakers, but my favorite is going to be the Lakers as far as the West, and as far as the East. I hate to say it, and Sterling's not going to agree with me at all, but I have it coming down to either the Celtics or the Bucks between those two. I think those two teams, whoever comes out of them is going to play whoever comes out of the Lakers or the Clippers. So my favorite for the West is the Lakers, and my favorite for the East is the Bucks.
Yeah, I think those are definitely two popular picks there, especially with Kemba healthy. And I want to end on this question in a sentence or less, just with everything, bringing back the NBA restart and then MJ versus LeBron. Is this LeBron's last chance? Sterling, start with you.
I do not believe it's his last chance. I think that with the coronavirus and him getting 3 to 4 months off, he might have just extended his career another 2 years. Knowing
being honest.
Knowing LeBron James and how much he puts into his body, I know during that whole breaks period, he didn't do nothing but rest. And that might have gave him another extra year or two. Also, I still believe LeBron's the best player in the league right now. In terms of the Lakers, they're my favorites to come out of the West as well. I think their roster got better post-pandemic and before restart. The problem with the Lakers earlier in the season for me was that they didn't have another dude outside of LeBron and AD that can get his own shot. They literally went and picked up Deion Waiters and J.R. Smith, who can both get their own shot at will. That's a big jump for the Lakers. It wasn't never about Rondo getting hurt because LeBron's going to run point anyway. Had nothing to do with their size because Dwight Howard stayed. They got the shooters around LeBron with Caruso, Dudley, Quinn Cook, all those guys. Their whole thing was getting another dude that could get his own shot when necessary, and they got those two guys. So I think they got the best I think they got the better roster than the Clippers right now, honestly. The Clippers, everybody want to call them this well-oiled machine, but I got to see more Paul George in the playoffs. I'm sorry. Paul George in the playoffs since Indiana has not been that top two-way wing that you think of when you thought about him last year in the MVP race. And even when he came back for the playoffs, granted injury and everything, he still underperformed. So I don't think this is LeBron's last shot. I think LeBron might have just added 2 years to his career, and as long as he's playing, he has a shot to win the title. So
Interesting. All right, Chris, then Matt, real quick. How much pressure is on LeBron? Is this his last chance?
I agree. As crazy as that sounds, I agree. Everything Sterling just said. I feel like, that man, Corona messed up and the league messed up. You done gave LeBron another 2 years. Like, come on, man. Like, the goal for some players was, okay, we're going to wait till he leaves, and then we're going to take over. Pump your brakes. Too late. That man had added – because he was already bound to have a smooth, 3 to 4 years. Like, let's say he's going to be about 39, 40. He might be one of the first to ever go past 40 or 40. What was it? Vince Carter was 42. He may be one of the first to go past 42. So to tack on, another 3 to 4, you got another 6. I'm sorry, another 2. That's 6. So and he's 35 going on 36. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't feel like this is his last chance. I feel like he can, of course with COVID and all that, I feel like if he doesn't get a chip, it's warranted. I personally, because I have high expectations for him, I don't see that as an excuse. However, I do see it as an excuse, if that makes sense. I know I kind of made that weird how I worded it. But nonetheless, I do see him, getting another chip sometime in the future. I see him getting more than 1 chip. I see him getting, 2 or 3, if he stays with Lakers, of course. But, knowing LeBron, we'll see what happens.
I think that, how could I put this? I think that I remember he said that he wanted to at least stay in the league until his son makes it to the league. So hopefully that works out for him. But I will say with LeBron going to the championship so many times, well, not the championship, the finals, and being lost, it definitely isn't his last shot because we're kind of gotten used to it. I hate to say that. We kind of got used to him making it to the finals and he just loses. Okay, cool, do it again. He does it again. Maybe sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. So it definitely won't be, and Chris did not mean to throw that at you. But I definitely think that this won't be his last chance. I expect him to be at least in the finals for probably 2 to 3 more times before his career is over with.
All right, well, we can all agree LeBron's here to stay. Really fun 4th episode, guys. Once again, SportsCasters Podcast is brought to you by Slim Dev Media and Rel's Revenge. Let's go watch some real sports.
Ooh.
All right, we'll see you here next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Emma Host, Sterling Harris, Matthew Anderson, Chris Lyles, and we'll see you next week.